Vanakkam. Welcome to this course on classics in neuroscience. Since the last few videos, we began looking at neural systems and the neural basis of behavior. In this video, we'll look at operant conditioning by brain self-stimulation. So, behaviorists in the early 1900s came up with this idea of conditioning called as operant conditioning, that in the early 20th century was the dominant form of behavioral analysis. This is the particular case, for example, when a thirsty animal can press a lever to learn a behavior and get rewarded with water or some liquid reward. This animal was put in a box that later came to be called as the Skinner box. So, later James Woltz, Peter Milner from Donald Hebb's lab in Canada came up with a method whereby if an animal presses a lever, then pressing of that lever will lead to stimulation of different parts of the brain of that animal. So, you press, then your brain specific regions depending on the implanted electrode will become activated, will be stimulated. In some cases, depending on where the electrode was implanted, in certain areas of stimulation, the rats continuously press the lever without stopping. This shows that these electrical shocks essentially functioned as rewards, or they were reinforcing. Pressing that lever leads to more and more pleasure for the rat that it continuously presses the lever. There are also some cases where depending on the area of stimulation, the mouse or the rat would press the lever to death without eating or drinking. So, such is the power of this stimulation. They also recorded evidence that suggested that reinforcements were highest in the medial forebrain bundle and were most sensitive in the septal area, extending to as far as the cingulate gyrus in the cortex. This they demonstrated in more than one species, in many species. They also recorded in humans. Humans reported pleasure, warmth and even sexual excitement. It was then speculated that this kind of self-stimulation, brain self-stimulation, essentially identifies a reward circuit that involves dopamine as the neurotransmitter. But the evidence that supported this idea was somewhat controversial. So, it was not clear whether this is 100% true. So, this case where an animal presses a lever or does some behavior and successful completion of that behavior, or for example, pressing of the lever stimulates that animal's brain, self-stimulation is called as operant conditioning by brain self-stimulation. With this, we come to the end of this video. In this video, we looked at operant conditioning by brain self-stimulation. This is a modification of the original Skinner box, and in this method there was the facility to provide rewarding or reward like stimulus to specific areas of the brain. With this, we come to the end of this video. Thank you very much for your attention.